Hello and onwards and upwards to game number 2. Now we got some interesting little sort of sideboarding that might go on between Rob and Flavio here.
I think that with Rob you're probably going to see Rakdos Charm, you might see Ancient Grudge as well, although having spoken to Rob about the Kiki-Pod match, the general feeling is that if you're having to use Ancient Grudge to take out a pod, you're probably already in trouble.
It's done its damage.
Yeah, it's already done its damage by that point. The fact that Rob has white in his deck might mean he has access to Stony Silence, which is a card that's very good against
you know, you're never going to want 2 Ancient Grudges, so if anything,
one
you might
maybe.
board one in.
Yeah, I mean, Rob might... The reason Rakdos Charm tends to be a bit superior at this point is if they go for the infinite combo with Deceiver Exarch and Kiki-Jiki, you can actually kill them with Rakdos Charm before they attack, as long as you're on a higher life total. Or if your opponent's just stupid and makes 1,000,000 creatures when 20 will do. But of course, some opponents will actually fall for that. You have to be, you know, why make 1,000,000 creatures when 10 will do? And of course, Rakdos Charm works fairly well against cards like Kitchen Finks and Murderous Redcap anyway, stops them coming back with the persist triggers.
Wouldn't surprise me with some people if they try to word it cleverly. It's like, so are you going to try and do me 1,000,000 damage? And they say yes. Well, I guess that means you have 1,000,000 guys.
Yep. And Dark Confident from Rob.
This is kind of what Kiki-Pod always wanted to do, which was make the bird turn 1.
Yeah, Flavio actually got 2 birds this game. Rob burning his first one.
Avalanche Rider, or was that a
That's a Murderous Redcap, yeah.
These 4 drops all look the same from the distance away on the camera.
I'd have thought you'd been a lot more familiar with Avalanche Riders. Oh, we've got a...
well, it's a sideboard card that Kiki-Pod often will bring in.
Yeah, apologies for the cut there. We had a bit of a judge call. Apparently there was some confusion about whether Flavio wanted to pass the turn and then attack. But it appears to have been resolved. More product placements on our videos.
It's amazing quite how many people do forget to attack in the game of Magic.
Yeah, it's especially those who often play spells before attacking. They might have come from different card games.
I think on the most part it happens because people get into a one-track mind. They decide sort of what their course to victory is, and then just everything else becomes completely irrelevant.
Yeah. They what's known, you know, to a Magic Online player, they what's known as F6 in real life, basically.
You know, so if Flavio's got a pod in his hand, he's probably planning out his next few turns, and he's thinking, I'll do this, that, and the other, and you just forget to, you know, just run in with your guys. Well, in this case,
I mean, Redcap's one of his best creatures. It's
Redcap normally does his damage by dying.
Yep. And obviously with no Malera available to Flavio, it might not be as devastating as it would be in a Malera pod deck where it's infinite damage, but it's still a very useful creature. Of course it's not Flame Tongue Kavu, but you can't really have everything.
So why has the preference for pod decks moved towards Kiki-Pod rather than Malera Pod recently?
I think that it could be a mixture of both. It's really just personal preference. Malera Pod tends to have seen a few more high profile high places, but I think that a few people believe that Kiki-Pod's a bit more consistent than Malera Pod is. I think it's really up to your choice which one you want to take. Malera Pod seems to be a little bit more should I say, like, vulnerable to hate cards, or like certainly vulnerable to removal, because its combo involves a load of 2/2 creatures, so it is a bit more vulnerable. But I think that I think it just comes down to personal choice, really, and in this case Flavio appears to want to play the Kiki-Pod deck instead. Looks like we've got a little bit of a Looks like we've just got a little bit of a call.
Yeah, Rob was just wanting to ask the judge a question away from the table, I think, at this point.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
He just wanted to know about an interaction between a certain card, so he just goes off to ask about it.
Okay, that's fair enough. Huntmaster of the Fells, fairly odd card. Doesn't see a huge amount of play in modern Huntmaster of the Fells, but
he just doesn't do enough, I guess.
Pretty much. I mean, you'd find it very difficult that
it's a body that dies very easily to the removal. I mean, it's 4 to cast, so possibly slightly harder to remove, but
yeah. I mean, it doesn't die to abrupt decay until it flips over. It does die to abrupt decay when it's flipped over. Yeah, don't use your graveyard for tokens. That sort of thing you never do. See, Rob comes prepared for these sort of things.
I noticed there was no money in Rob's wallet there.
All spent on tokens. All spent on tokens.
You know, you can end up with a load of tokens over the course of a tournament by simply borrowing your opponents each round.
Advice on borrowing cards from Caravel Gaming. Okay, Rob getting a source of white with his marsh flats there. So he's very much behind at this point. I'm wondering what his options are. I think Fire Spout would be one if he's bought that in. I can't imagine he hasn't brought it in. You know, against a deck which has 30 creatures and 4 birthing pods, you'd think that Fire Spout would be a decent card against it.
I mean, all Rob can do at this point is play the cards that he draws. He hasn't really been chucking much out there at the moment.
Oh, Maelstrom Pulse there from Rob. I believe that's one of his sideboard cards.
Not the best target for it.
Not really, but I suppose you'd rather have that happen than the Huntmaster flipping. I mean, that card can do a lot of damage very quickly.
But it's one of his only real ways to get rid of a pod.
Yeah, but again, it's another one of those, it's the ancient grudge argument again, whereas if you're Maelstrom pulsing a pod, it's probably done its job at that point.
Well, it's got one activation off, which is very often not enough. If you can untap the pod, however.
Yeah, I mean, with Flavio having a 3 and a 4 in play at this point, it's...
if he has like a 2-drop, he can go for the Deceiver Exarch and then pot it into an Angel.
Yep. Now, what's Rob doing here? Okay. Blocks the Wolf token and Lightning Bolts the Murderous Redcap. Oh, I think we're just having a debate. Please announce that you are putting your Persist trigger on the stack. Oh, Reader.
And then we'll remove your graveyard from the game.
Yep.
What does this card do? Charms with multiple abilities. Confusing business.
The new charms have been widely used, really. I can't... Has there been one which hasn't seen much play? I think they've pretty much all seen play at one time or another, all the new charms.
Well, the Boros charm was certainly the one that made the most money in foil.
Yeah. I suppose some of the new ones from Guild Pact haven't seen that much play, but
in Legacy it's a bit different.
Mm.
It's a bigger Legacy card, Boros charm.
Is it? So I haven't. I know that a few people had thoughts about Dimir Charm, and that really didn't happen. And
if you go on to sites like Magic Card Mart, you see ridiculous prices for certain foils, and that's just generally because of Legacy players.
Well, yeah, foil Deathrite Shamans are, you know, $50 plus, you know. And,
yeah, 5 times the price of a regular one.
Yeah. Well, Legacy players like foiling their decks, and Rob comes across with Falcon Wrath Aristocrat, so you've got to think that at this point Rob's just thinking he's in a straight up race here, and he's trying to find a way to race past that Kitchen Finks. If he does have another Falcon Wrath in his hand, then that's a You know, that's definitely a case where he could end up winning the race here. And he does have another Falcon Wrath in hand, so Flavio now has a bit of a decision to make. Depending on what's in his hand, of course, he might have no decision to make whatsoever. And in fact, if what Flavio's signifying there, just saying wait for your attack, he does have a Deceiver Exarch in hand, so if he does, that's just game right there. Yeah, I'll take 8, it's fine.
He's probably going to dump an Angel into play at end of turn, something like that.
Deceiver Exarch's good enough, Rob's only on 4, so yeah. He makes the Exarch and taps Rob's Raging Ravine, and Rob does not have a Lightning Bolt, so...
So we go on to game number 3 between Rob and Flavio.